And so you walk again, a little slower this time, a little wiser, a little more aware of the ground beneath your feet. You notice your breath, how it rises, how it falls, how it asks for nothing, yet keeps you alive. You start to understand the quiet truth the Stoics carried like a lantern through every dark night. That peace is not found by controlling the world. It is found by mastering the way you move through it. Marcus Aurelius once whispered to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And you finally feel what those words mean, not as philosophy, but as survival. The storm no longer terrifies you, because you are beginning to see its shape, its rhythm, its purpose. The storm is not here to destroy you, it is here to carve you. Every scar becomes a map, every setback becomes a teacher, every moment of pain becomes a mirror showing you who you could become, if only you stopped running from yourself. You breathe again, slower, deeper, more intentional. You remember the nights you thought you wouldn't make it. The nights when your heart felt like it was shattering in slow motion. The nights when silence was heavy enough to crush you. But look at you now, still breathing, still walking, still carrying the fire. Epictetus once said, "Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself." And now, finally, you see who has been fighting underneath your ribs all this time. Someone resilient, someone patient, someone capable of rebuilding their life from the dust. You step forward, one step, then another. You don't rush, you don't force, you simply move, because you understand something you didn't before. Healing is not a destination, it is a direction. Strength is not a sudden transformation, it is a daily agreement with yourself. And freedom, true freedom, is learning to love the person you are becoming, even while you are still unfinished. You feel the world grow quieter around you, not because it has stopped shouting, but because you have stopped listening to every voice but your own. You carry your pain differently now, not as a burden, as a compass. It points you toward the life you've earned, through every broken moment that should have defeated you, but didn't. You were not meant to be perfect. You were meant to persevere. And slowly, gently, you begin to understand. You are not standing in the ruins of who you were. You are standing in the foundation of who you will become. You lift your head, you move deeper into yourself, and the silence feels different now. Not empty, not hollow, but full of understanding, full of everything you once ran from, and everything you are finally ready to face. The path beneath your feet no longer feels like a test. It feels like a remembering, a return, a homecoming to the parts of you that waited patiently for your courage to catch up. You breathe, slow and steady, and each breath feels like a truth. Settling into your bones, you realize something profound. Strength is not the absence of pain. Strength is the willingness to feel it without collapsing, to hold it without becoming it, to walk with it without letting it guide your steps. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." You feel the meaning of those words deep inside your chest, where fear used to live. Your mind is no longer a battlefield. It is becoming a sanctuary, a place you can return to when the world grows loud. You feel the faint glow of peace in the smallest moments, the rise of your breath, the settle of your shoulders, the quiet acceptance that life does not need to be perfect for you to be whole. You walk on, and the horizon shifts slightly, as if opening just a little wider, because you are finally ready to see beyond the limits you once placed on yourself. Old memories surface, but they no longer sting. They are no longer wounds. They are stories, chapters, lessons carved into time. You bow to them gently, with gratitude, before letting them pass, like leaves carried by a gentle current. You feel the presence of every version of you, the hurt child, the hopeful dreamer, the weary fighter, the quiet survivor. And instead of pushing them away, you gather them inside your heart. You give them space, you give them peace, you give them forgiveness. The weight you once carried doesn't disappear, but it transforms. What was once a burden becomes a foundation. What was once a scar becomes a map. What was once a breaking becomes a becoming. Seneca's wisdom drifts through you. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. You understand now. Every breath you took, when you wanted to give up, every morning you rose, when everything felt heavy, every step you made, when the ground beneath you shook, was courage, real courage. Quiet, unseen, uncelebrated, but courage all the same. And now, you stand taller, Not because the world has grown easier, but because you have grown deeper. Calmer, clearer, more you. The path curves ahead. Gentle, inviting, bathed in a soft light that feels like promise. You step toward it, without hesitation, without fear, without doubt. A truth rises inside you, subtle but undeniable. You are finally walking as who you were always meant to be. Not perfect, not unscarred, but whole, awake, alive. You walk further, and the quiet inside you grows. Like a river carving its path through stone, it is steady, patient, unrelenting. It moves not with force, but with certainty. The world still hums around you, filled with chaos, distraction, demands, but you no longer bend to it. You observe, you move, you exist, without surrendering to the noise. Seneca's voice rises softly in your mind. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. You feel the truth of it in your bones. You have wanted less, needed less. Desire no longer controls you. You are rich in presence, rich in understanding, rich in the quiet mastery of your own soul. The path ahead is winding, and sometimes shadowed, but shadows no longer frighten you. They only remind you of the light you carry within. You pause, placing a hand over your chest. The heartbeat beneath your palm is steady, insistent, a reminder that life flows through you, even when the world seems to crumble. You feel the remnants of old fear, but you meet it differently now. Not with struggle, not with resistance. You honor it, acknowledge it, and let it pass. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." You feel this in every step, every breath, every thought. You are learning to distinguish between what you can shape and what you must accept. And in that distinction, you find freedom. You look at the horizon again, wide, infinite, unknown. It does not intimidate you. It invites you. It whispers that the next step is yours to claim, and you walk it without hesitation, without doubt, without fear. The inner landscape of your mind feels vast and untouchable now. The pain that once ruled it has softened into wisdom. The grief has become depth. The struggle has become grace. And as you move forward, you sense a quiet joy, not the loud joy of celebration, but the deep, enduring joy of someone who has survived and chosen to live fully anyway. The world continues to shift. People come and go. The days change. But you stand like a tree rooted deep in the soil of your own being, unshaken, aware, present. You feel a stillness settle deep inside. Not empty, but full of every lesson learned, every scar survived, every moment of fear faced and endured. The world around you hums with motion, but you are anchored in a quiet clarity. Nothing shakes you now, because you have learned that storms are temporary, but the mind that meets them steadily is permanent. Epictetus reminds you, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. You feel those words pulse through your chest, like a drumbeat of purpose. The life you want is not given, it is claimed. It is built step by step, breath by breath, through courage, patience, and relentless presence. You pause by the edge of your own reflection, not in a mirror, but in the calm surface of thought. You see the weight you once carried, the fear you once obeyed, the sorrow you once fled. And now, you see it all differently. Not as chains, but as teachers. Not as weakness, but as proof. Proof that you can bend without breaking, that you can fall without being destroyed, that you can endure without losing your soul. The path stretches forward, and it is not perfect. It never was. But imperfection no longer scares you. It is the raw material of life, the forge in which resilience is shaped. You walk slowly, feeling each footfall like a prayer. A prayer for patience, a prayer for courage, a prayer for the quiet, unwavering strength that has carried you this far and will carry you further still. Marcus Aurelius whispered once, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." You understand this now. Change is not a threat. It is the canvas, and your thoughts are the brush. You can shape, direct, and color your existence with the calm authority of presence. The air is cool, and it carries a taste of promise. You inhale, and the breath feels like liberation. Exhale, and the past slips gently from your hands. Step by step, you feel lighter, more aware, more awake. Pain is still present, yes, but it has lost its tyranny. Fear lingers, yes, but it no longer commands you. And hope rises quietly, Like dawn breaking over a long night, unassuming, patient, inevitable. You are beginning to understand that life is not a test to pass, nor a trial to endure. It is an opportunity to meet yourself in all your complexity, to live fully within your own mind, and to walk in the world as someone unshaken, unbroken, unafraid. You feel the quiet pulse of life beneath your feet, steady, enduring, eternal. It is not asking for anything from you, and yet it reminds you that you too are built to endure. The world moves around you, fast, relentless, unforgiving, but inside you, there is a rhythm that cannot be disturbed, a cadence born from patience, from reflection, from the choice to meet life without flinching. You remember Marcus Aurelius? The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. You feel the weight of that truth, like a stone turned over in your hands, once heavy, now revealing its hidden path. Every struggle you faced, every heartbreak, every loss, has shaped the corridors of your soul. And now, you walk through them, seeing the beauty in the architecture of your own endurance. Pain is no longer your enemy. It is your teacher, your guide, your quiet companion that reminds you of what it means to be fully alive. You pause beside a stillness where the air itself seems to hold its breath. And you notice how far you have come, not in miles, not in victories, but in the reclamation of your own spirit. You breathe deeply, and the wind carries away remnants of doubt. The horizon stretches out before you, uncertain, wide, infinite, and for the first time, it does not intimidate you. It invites you. It whispers, "Walk, the rest of your life awaits." Seneca's words echo softly. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. You feel it now. Every hardship has been forging you into someone capable of calm, someone capable of clarity, someone capable of loving yourself without hesitation. You realize that mastery is not about perfection. It is not about control. It is the courage to meet yourself in your entirety. The light and the shadow, the strength and the fracture, the grief and the hope. You place your hand over your heart, feeling the steady beat, the quiet insistence of life itself. And in that heartbeat, you recognize the most profound truth of all. You are your own home. You are your own anchor. You are your own sanctuary. The path ahead is still unknown, but your steps no longer hesitate. Your breath no longer quivers. Your soul walks freely, aware that it has survived, aware that it has learned, aware that it can rise again and again without fear. And as you continue, the quiet revelation grows. You have finally met yourself. And in doing so, you have met the world as it was always meant to be met, with calm, with courage, with unwavering presence. You keep walking, and each step feels like a reclamation. A piece of yourself you thought was lost returns quietly, without fanfare, without announcement. The pain still exists, but it no longer defines the edges of your world. It moves beside you now, like a companion you've learned to respect, rather than a chain you must break. You remember Epictetus? It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You see now how many days you spent reacting to life, instead of meeting it, instead of choosing yourself. In the midst of chaos, the wind shifts, and it carries with it a subtle fragrance of earth and possibility. You inhale deeply, and the air feels like permission. Permission to be alive, permission to feel fully, permission to step into your own power without apology. You notice the small miracles that surround you every day, the way sunlight curves around a leaf, the way your own breath moves in and out without demand, the way the world continues to turn even when you feel you cannot. You begin to understand that resilience is not a trait you are born with. It is a practice, a choice, a refusal to surrender, to fear, to doubt, to despair. Your mind quiets further. The chaos of the past no longer has the same hold. You can observe it without becoming it. You can honor it without being consumed. You can allow it without letting it settle into the shape of your life. And with that clarity, you realize that you are free. Not free from pain, not free from loss, not free from the unknown, but free from the tyranny of fear. Free to move through life as the architect of your own soul. Seneca's voice drifts softly into your thoughts. He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. You feel the weight of years spent anticipating hardship that never came, or past without leaving the ruin you imagined. You exhale. And with that exhale, you release every imagined burden, every borrowed sorrow, every ghost of a past that is no longer yours to carry. You begin to walk taller, not with arrogance, not with pride, but with the quiet dignity of one who has seen darkness, walked through it, and emerged intact. The road ahead is still uncertain, the horizon still unknown, but you do not tremble, you do not shrink. You meet it now, with courage, with patience, with presence. And in that moment, a simple truth settles in your bones. You are enough. You have always been enough. And now, at last, you know it. You walk further into yourself, and the silence around you begins to feel sacred, like a sanctuary you didn't know you carried. Within your own chest, your steps are soft now, measured, intentional, not because you are afraid, but because you are finally awake. Every breath feels like a conversation between who you were and who you are becoming, a negotiation, a reconciliation, a gentle promise. You realize that healing is not loud. It isn't dramatic. It doesn't announce itself with triumph or clarity. Healing happens quietly, in moments like this, moments when you stop fighting yourself, moments when you allow life to unfold without forcing it to match the shape of your expectations. A soft breeze brushes against your face, and for a moment, you feel the presence of every version of you that had to hurt so you could grow. You honor them now, not with regret, not with bitterness, but with gratitude, because without them, you would not have learned how to stand in the fire and not disappear. Seneca's words drift through your mind. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. You breathe those words in, like medicine. You exhale the fear you carried like armor. The future no longer terrifies you. It no longer owns you. It is simply a landscape, not yet walked, a story not yet written, a horizon you will meet with steady feet and an open heart. You feel the past behind you, not chasing, not haunting, just existing. A chapter, not a prison. A lesson, not a sentence. You let it rest. As you move forward, you notice a warmth blooming in your chest. Small, quiet, undeniable. Hope, not the fragile, trembling kind that depends on perfect moments, but the grounded, steady kind that grows from having fallen and risen again and again. You understand now that strength is not forged. In the moments when life is gentle, strength is born. In the nights you thought would break you, but didn't. In the mornings you rose, even when the weight on your back felt impossible. In the choices you made to keep living, even when living felt like walking through fire, there is a resilience in you that you never recognized, a light that refused to go out, even when darkness surrounded it, a force that carried you through hell without asking for recognition. You place a hand on your chest, feeling the steady rhythm beneath your palm, a reminder that life has not given up on you, not once, not ever. And slowly, you begin to believe that you were never meant to give up on yourself either. The horizon ahead glows softly, as if inviting you, as if whispering, walk. The rest of your story is waiting. And this time, you walk, not out of fear, not out of desperation, but out of quiet, powerful understanding. You are ready. You continue forward. And this time the world feels lighter. Not because the weight is gone, but because you have learned how to carry it. There is a stillness in you now, a quiet strength that doesn't need to be seen, to be felt, a strength that doesn't shout or break or demand. It simply exists, like the pulse beneath your skin. As you walk, memories rise, some gentle, some sharp, some you tried to bury beneath years of distraction. But instead of flinching, you simply observe, like watching waves from the safety of the shore. They rise, they fall, they dissolve, and you remain. Marcus Aurelius whispered the truth long ago. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. You always thought peace would come from changing your life, your circumstances, your world. But peace, real peace, begins inside you. You feel the faint hum of it now. A small, steady presence that grows stronger. Each time you choose courage over avoidance, you walk deeper, as if each step brings you closer to a version of you who has waited in the shadows for years. Patient, watchful, unbroken. There is sadness in you, yes, but it is no longer a storm. It has become a river, flowing through you without drowning you. There is fear in you, yes, but it is no longer a cage. It is a visitor that comes and goes without stealing your breath. There is pain in you, always, but it has become a teacher now, not a tyrant. You understand something you could never understand in the chaos. You don't need to be unhurt to be whole. You don't need to erase the past to begin again. You don't need to conquer your emotions to become strong. You only need to meet them with honesty. You pause once more. The wind settles. Your heartbeat is calm. Your breath moves like a tide returning home. Epictetus returns to you. Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do. You feel the meaning in your bones. You no longer resist the shape of your life. You no longer fight the nature of what has already happened. Acceptance is not surrender. It is freedom. You look at your own hands. Hands that have held joy. Hands that have held grief. Hands that have built and broken and built again. And you see them differently now. Not as instruments of struggle, but as proof that you are still here. The horizon stretches before you, wide, uncertain, beautiful. And for the first time, you do not fear what lies ahead. You trust yourself to face it, to meet it, to shape it. A quiet truth rises in you, not a shout, not a declaration, just a whisper born from deep understanding. I am no longer who I was, and I am not yet who I will be, but I am becoming, and the world feels it. You move forward, not with haste, but with a quiet, deliberate grace that comes from finally understanding that nothing in nature rushes, yet everything arrives. The wind brushes against your skin like an old friend. The world feels less like an enemy now, and more like a teacher you once misunderstood. You begin to sense the truth behind every moment of struggle. Pain was never the barrier. It was the doorway, a threshold you were meant to cross into a deeper version of yourself. You pause, not to catch your breath, but to feel it, to let your lungs fill, as if drawing in courage itself, to let your exhale carry away every lie you once believed about your worth. And in that pause, you realize something profound. You have survived 1,000 endings, and yet here you stand, facing another beginning. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." You think of the nights you drowned in thoughts that never came true, the fears that stole your sleep, the shadows that convinced you the world was darker than it was. But look at you now, still standing, still breathing, still capable of beauty, even after everything. The ground beneath you holds your weight without question. The sky above you does not ask who you have been. Nature accepts you without demands, without judgment, and slowly you begin to accept yourself in the same gentle way. You notice the warmth returning to the parts of you that went numb from heartbreak. You feel strength in the muscles you thought had forgotten how to carry you. You feel a quiet determination growing behind your ribs, not loud, not showy, but steady, like a promise your soul makes with no need for words. You begin to understand that healing is not a sudden sunrise. It's a series of tiny dawns, soft, slow, almost invisible, moments where you choose patience over panic, presence over escape, courage over comfort. You walk further into the landscape of your becoming. Every step clears a little more fog. Every breath softens a little more pain. Every heartbeat rings a little more true. You are returning to yourself, not as who you once were, but as who you were always meant to be. Stronger, wiser, quieter, deeper. You whisper into the world, this time without trembling, "I can bear this." And something inside you answers, "You already have." The path is long, but you are no longer afraid of it. You are learning to honor the journey instead of rushing the destination, and somewhere within the silence, you feel it, the faint glow of peace, the kind that is earned, not given. You continue walking, not toward a destination, but toward a truth that has waited for years, beneath the noise of your life. The air feels different now, quieter, honest. You can finally hear the things you once buried under speed and distraction. Pain speaks first. It always does. It tells you where you've been wounded. It reminds you of what you lost. It shows you the scars you pretended not to see. But this time, you don't turn away. You let it speak. You let it rise. You let it move through you without letting it define you. And in that courage, you feel something loosen, something old, something heavy. A weight you've carried so long, you forgot it wasn't part of you. You breathe again, slowly, intentionally, the way someone breathes when they finally understand that survival was never the goal. Living was. A soft clarity settles in your mind. Not loud, not triumphant, just present. You remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And suddenly, you see how many mountains in your life were built from fear, not reality. How many times you made yourself small to fit inside someone else's expectations. How often you accepted suffering because you believed you deserved no better. How long you lived in rooms far too cramped for the size of your soul. But now, you step out of those rooms, one by one, door by door, until the walls fall away and the sky opens above you, like a promise you were always meant to keep. You feel the ground beneath your feet, steady, ancient, unshaken, as if reminding you that you too were built to endure. Epictetus whispers from memory, circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. And you realize, life has never been punishing you. It has been showing you who you are. Beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, beneath the noise, you walk forward, carrying only what matters. Your breath, your presence, your willingness to begin again. And in that beginning, you feel a strange peace. Not the kind that arrives when life is perfect. Not the kind that hides in comfort, but the kind that grows when a person finally learns to sit with their truth without running. Your heart softens, your shoulders drop. You look at the path ahead, and for the first time in years, you are not intimidated by its uncertainty. You are grounded, rooted, awake. You understand now what the Stoics understood. The world may be chaotic, but your inner life is your kingdom, unconquered, untouchable, yours. You feel the quiet beginning of acceptance, a fragile, glowing thing growing inside your chest. Acceptance of your past, acceptance of your scars, acceptance of the person you became while trying to survive. Your steps become steadier, your breath deeper, your presence fuller. You whisper into the silence, I will rise, not despite the pain, but because of it. And the world listens. Whenever you are ready, you allow the grief to speak. You let the anger loosen its grip. You stop treating your heart like an enemy to be defeated. You look at your reflection as if seeing it for the first time, not with shame, not with judgment, but with a quiet curiosity, as if discovering a stranger who has suffered greatly and survived beautifully. There is courage in this stillness, a rare and ancient courage. You whisper to yourself, softly, as if calming a trembling animal, I am here. Not running, not hiding, just here. The world slows. Your heartbeat steadies. Your breath softens into something human again. This is where the healing begins. Not in victory, not in clarity, but in the decision to stay with yourself through the ache. Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. And today, you understand what he meant, because living is not simply breathing. It is choosing to feel when feeling hurts. It is choosing to try when failing seems easier. It is choosing to rise when staying down feels safer. You walk forward, not with certainty, but with presence. You step into the day with the understanding that mastery is not a destination, but a discipline, a practice, a quiet rebellion against the chaos of the world. You listen to your thoughts the way one listens to distant thunder. Aware, but not afraid. You let them pass, like clouds over the ancient sky, and in their absence, you hear something deeper, a sound you forgot, a sound you once trusted, your own voice. Calm, patient, unbroken, the voice that knows where you're going, even when you don't. The voice that refuses to abandon you, no matter how dark the road becomes. You walk with it, step by step, breath by breath, into the quiet, into the unknown, into the place where pain begins to transform into wisdom. And slowly, gently, you begin to understand. This is not the end of you. This is the beginning. The weight you carry, I know it. The quiet ache behind your ribs. The heaviness you never name. The questions you whisper only to the dark. You've walked through storms that left no footprints. You've fought battles no one ever saw. And still, you rise, even when rising feels like breaking. Breathe, just once, slow, deep, like the world is not ending, like your heart still remembers the way home. There is a moment in every life when the noise becomes unbearable, when you can no longer outrun yourself, when every mistake, every regret, every fear sits beside you in perfect, painful silence. This is where your strength begins. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." You repeat the words quietly, and for the first time, they do not feel like philosophy. They feel like survival, because life will not wait for you to be ready. It will not ask if you are strong enough. It will simply place the weight in your hands and see whether you will hold it or crumble. But listen, strength is not the absence of pain. Strength is the decision to stand inside the pain without running from yourself. You have been running for too long. Today, you pause. You inhale the truth you've avoided. You exhale the version of you who believed they were not enough. The world taught you to fear your own heart, to hide your wounds, to pretend. But the Stoics whispered a different way, a quieter way, a way of standing still until the storm inside you finally bows its head. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So you begin the slow, patient work of reclaiming the pieces of you left scattered across the past, piece by piece, memory by memory, breath by breath.